All right, so it is October. We're less than 2 weeks away from the big day. How did you get here, like to this point?
Well, I guess I got to start by saying, my name is Martin Mitchell. I'm a proud resident of Prince George's County, also a Laurel native. So the thought to me is all roads lead home, all politics are local. So for me, it was really important to run for local office. I know people have visions for higher office and national level politics, but I believe that you can make the most impact, right where you live in your hometown. So that's essentially why I'm here.
That's big though. So I just kind of jumped into the conversation. This is Martin Mitchell. He is running for Laurel City Council. He is also a lifelong Prince George's County resident, right?
Yes.
And I just kind of came across you a couple of months ago. You had connected with Marion Maine on some.
They were doing town halls for the cannabis bill, HB 32.
Yes. So I'm glad that we kind of reconnected because I really wanted to touch base with you. And just, here's a little bit of a bone I'm going to throw out. So Mr. Wink was my 10th grade social studies teacher. We're not that far apart in age. So the fact, when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, this place is too small. It is way too small.
But this was at Largo, or this was?
This is at Largo.
Oh, okay.
Largo High School, 505 Largo Road.
Yes. Understood. I mean, yes, Mr. Wink, he was really a person that I really thank for making me interested in politics, because having that good social studies teacher, or government teacher early on in high school, when you're very inquisitive and very curious, is important. Because if I had a boring teacher, I might have hated the subject, and so yeah, I always give Mr. Wink big ups, and still happy to see that he's teaching at Laurel to this day. And I'm gonna be canvassing at some point, hopefully. I know we got a few weeks left, but I told him, you definitely taught me a lot, and I respect you, and thanks for making the subject matter fun.
He did. He really did. So, all right, we're jumping all over the place. The biggest piece that I kind of want to connect is you as a young individual in this county, pro cannabis, because that's why we're here. But like, it is super empowering to see someone in your position, in your age range, really trying to make a difference. Because a lot of us kind of grew up and saw, same old business as usual. And you just like, nah. Tell us what turned on the light bulb for you to be like, I'm really want to invest in this. Because it's not easy putting yourself out there publicly at your age, during a time in the world where they told us, we should be sitting back and enjoying life and living it up like a celebrity, right? Like boots on the ground, you were like doing the thing. So try and give us that connection that really made you wake up and say, okay, I'm going to do more than just talk about it.
Well, I mean, I went to a HBCU. So HBCUs, I will say that they're very connected to their students. And, I gotta say that, the oldest, Bowie State. I gotta say the oldest in Maryland, at least, Bowie State. But, at my time during that, in the history and government department, I had a lot of great professors. But one professor, really kind of stuck out to me, because I always thought that social studies and politics and government and, public service was interesting for Mr. Wink. But one of the things I learned even in high school classes was that there was a lot of ethical dilemmas that, go on in politics. And, one of the questions that I had for the professor, because he taught philosophy, ethics, was kind of like, how will I go down the road of public service if I know that my morals and my ethics will be compromised, and, maybe one day I will be corrupt? Just being fully aware that, that that's a possibility. So he said, well, the thought is like, you have to constantly question your morals. And then you always have to think that, like, am I doing this for the right reasons? And then he kind of ended on, Martin, you have the capacity to lead. And if you don't lead, don't be upset when you're led by a lesser man. And that stuck out to me, because I was like, damn. I mean, so that's really just like, don't just talk about the problem, actually be part of the solution and work towards, the change that you want to see. And, that was kind of the thought, just, then getting out there. So I was helping reignite orgs that Bowie wasn't a part of for several decades, or take leadership on organizing certain events. Like I remember I helped get Ben Jealous there when he was running for governor.
Yes.
And I actually opened up for him. So I actually basically opened up for him. And, just doing that early on and getting involved with the young Dems also at Bowie, helped me out. And, here I am a few years later. And, when I thought about running, the only office I thought about was locally in my hometown.
In Laurel.
Yeah.
Tell me about Laurel. What is it about Laurel? For people who aren't probably from this area, we've got viewers and folks who watch from all over. Tell me, because I grew up in Prince George's County as well, and I'm very specific to say Prince George's County. And I know what Laurel was when I was in high school. So tell me about, as a native resident, tell me about Laurel.
Well, of course, I respect the part that you said, Prince George's County, because, especially in the political realm, let's say Prince George's County and not PG, just because a lot of times, counterparts of the media, try to knock Prince George's down a notch by just calling them PG. For the most part, you hear Montgomery County, Howard County, but when they're referred to as a majority Black county, a lot of times they try to use our acronym.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Laurel's the most northern city in Prince George's County, and it's very interesting because it touches. It's in Prince George's County, but it also touches Montgomery County and Arundel, Howard. So it's a very unique, in its geography. And one of the cool things about it is it's 20, 30 minutes from DC, 20, 30 minutes from Baltimore. Outside of that, the one thing that, I kind of really remember growing up is like, there is a sense of community in Laurel. It's a bigger town now, because I think the census has around 30,000, a little over 30,000, but
that's a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good amount of people. That's a good amount of people. It's definitely growing. It's growing.
I was going to say, because Laurel was not 30,000, back in the day, but
no.
Think about that for parking. Think about that for, the improvements that can come to this area.
Yeah, I mean, it's a burgeoning community, and we have to continue to invest in innovation to, serve this diverse, burgeoning community. I think as I tell everybody, Laurel's not going to be a Silver Spring or a DC, but I think that, there's a lot that we could bring to Laurel to make us attractive. Not only for people who live there, but for the people visiting Laurel. And, if you know anything about Laurel, we got the food spots. So you could always come and usually get good meals.
Tell us about some of those good food spots.
I got to throw out there the fan favorite Mad Cow Grill. Mad Cow Grill, I don't know if you've been there, but it's definitely one of the fan favorites. You probably hear a lot about them on the Laurel Takeout group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But, I few Olive Romaine is great. I even love my Jamaican spot over here, the Cottage Hill. I don't know if you stopped by there yet.
Oh no, I'm checking out all of these places.
Yes.
I'm a big foodie. So.
More than Java. You got to make sure. That's where I got breakfast this morning and Matt came from. They even had the sea moss.
Okay.
We were mentioning. So, for your health benefits, make sure to check out some sea moss. And, there's a host of businesses that I could mention. And, I don't want to forget any. So, I love all my Laurel businesses, and I support shopping Laurel, shop local. So, yes.
Awesome. Okay. I don't want to get you in trouble. I just want to make sure that I'm able to give folks their, especially we're actually a local Laurel business. So make sure I give them their kudos for, I didn't even expect to have this space, trust and believe. So
yes, we're at Green Life Alternative Care, 200 Main Street. And, they're really about, cannabis and community.
Absolutely.
So I've been proud to work with them over the last few months on doing open mic nights and, other health and wellness workshops, and I think now they're trying to work on like a cannabis workshop, kind of educate people, and but of course we continue to need education to help cancel the stigma. So that's a big reason why I do what I do. Is a lot of my advocacy started around criminal justice and definitely like cannabis. I would say that we know that cannabis has been criminalized for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I definitely could say that, you know, I was definitely a person who's a victim of, you know, like the BS war on drugs and cannabis. And the thought is like, you know, it's just annoying. Of course. And the thought is now the times have changed. It's become, of course, legalized, and it's become more recreation legally in a lot of states. And it's become more like socially okay. But there's still some people who have to come around from the stigma that it's a bad thing, and you know, also realize that there are a lot of positive benefits in which you could seek from, you know, cannabis in whichever form you like.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that education is important, because I always tell the story of someone I met that was in the military. They got out, had a lot of problems. They did opioids. The opioids caused further problems. Surprisingly enough, they then, you know, went to a state that had medical cannabis. They seek the benefits of it, and they saw that, hey, now I don't have to use as many opioids that were clearly destroying my body, and now I can replace that with something more holistic as cannabis. You know, so just stories like that to know that, like, hey, sometimes opioids, they can cause more problems.
Yes.
Why some of these holistic things? And you know, I even mentioned stories of family members that I had who had a lot of pain, and I told them about the CBD creams and rubs, and you know, it changes some of their lives, because the thought is like, one, these drugs are expensive. Two, they're not only expensive, you know, out of your pocket, but they're expensive, you know, to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the wear and cost it takes in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, the thought is like they decrease the use of these because they're getting relief elsewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, we always push for that, and I'm definitely thankful that, you know, Laurel is a cannabis haven. We have Revolution Relief down the street. We have Greenpoint next door. We have True Wellness up the street. Herbiculture, you know, 1.2 miles away in the Montgomery County side, and you know, we got 3 different CBD stores, at least that I know of. Of course, Hemp Haven right down the street. We did a meet and greet there, and everyone brings different aspects to the community. And when I go in there, I noticed that, like, I was in one of the shops probably like 2 weeks ago, and I realized, wow, look how many older white men are here. I said, wow, you look at that, you know what I mean? Like that's diversity, you know what I mean? It's the thought that, like, there's not just one client, you know what I mean? Like, there are people who you see them every day. They're your Joe Schmo executive, and you know, they are a legal cannabis user. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you ask them, they probably would speak highly about it and the benefits.
You just never would assume it by looking at them walking down the street. It amazes me every time I walk into a CBD shop, or even at a grocery store, like any of the grocery stores that sell CBD on the floor. And I walk past the CBD section, and just the...
You said grocery?
Grocery, yeah.
Hmm.
I was going to say Wegmans, but I don't think they're in this area.
I was going to say Wegmans?
Oh, yeah, Wegmans.
Huh?
Wegmans.
Yeah, I didn't know it made it into the grocery. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, Whole Foods is what kicked it off.
Yeah. So
Whole Foods was the first grocery store to have a whole CBD section.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine they're organic, and yeah.
So Wegmans closely follows suit. There's a Wegmans. There's one in Woodmore.
Well, there should be one in Columbia. I believe there's one in Columbia.
Yeah, or close to it. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So just the variety of individuals, when you see them talking about CBD, even my parents. You know, my father is a huge cannabis proponent. My mom is not, but she loves CBD, right? So at the end of the day, you love cannabis. Let's just shift it on over. So yeah, I love that Laurel's a cannabis haven. I love that Maryland is so flexible with our, still have work to do, but super flexible around, you know, the conditions that patients can, you know, become a part of the program for.
Sure.
So it's very lenient. So
I agree in that capacity. But yeah, we definitely still got a lot of work to do. I mean,
it's super expensive to be a patient in Maryland. Super expensive.
Where is, like, to be fair, I never looked at like the average. What is, like, where are we on the list of averages? Have you ever
of like patient population?
Yeah, well, out of different states, you know, like 27 states who have medically.
That is I have not looked that up.
Yeah, and I just wonder where we are on the spectrum of, because I mean, I do know that it's generally $50 for the Cannabis Commission, and from a retailer to, well, I wouldn't even say retailer, but But to get a physician referral, probably 150 to 250.
Yeah, not covered by insurance.
Yeah, 150 to 250. Yeah, exactly.
And then the cost of the actual product when you get there. So there's a huge startup cost. One thing Maryland is good for, though, is our education around terpene profiles in our products.
Sure.
So a lot of medical states, even our lovely neighboring community, District of Columbia, they don't list terpenes. So if you're going to look for something that is particularly helping an ailment based on, limonene, myrcene, whatever effect you're looking for, Maryland is perfect on that. So, I
think it's probably because from what I was told, I'm definitely, not one who would use concentrates, but from what I was told, concentrates, we have a good market here, and we have some pretty good manufacturers. So
we do.
I'm sure that plays something into the terp profile and making sure that,
We have some folks that really, speaking of one on your head, Sunmed.
Sunmed does really good work.
They are growing and serving a particular population in our state.
Well, the thing that I think about Sunmed is you get good quality, fairly quality, and the pricing. You can't beat Sunmed pricing for the most part, and the quality. I'm surprised that most of the time when I see them, you got a TC account.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
for that price, okay.
Really good. I keep saying this, I want to say this for the record. If Sunmed would brand themselves as the $15 eighth,
they'll kill the industry, right? Nobody else, they'll kill the industry. Kill the industry. $15 eighth, they'll kill the industry.
I go to Target for certain things. I'm sure you go to certain places for certain things. Sunmed with the $15 eighth, I know I'm always get the $15 eighth.
Yeah, no, that's a definite deal.
All right, I'm hoping
that's a definite deal.
I'm hoping they do that. But anyway, we have been rapping. Tell us a bit about the campaign. Tell us about some of your big goals. Tell us where people can find you and wish you good luck on this run.
Sure. Well, a little bit about the campaign. Of course, the hashtag at Knew Laurel. So the thought when I'm elected, I'll be the 6th councilman of color in our 150-year history.
Say that again.
No, well, when elected, I'll be the 6th councilman of color in our 150 years. So yeah, I mean it's big. Prince George's County. As we know, we're one of the only counties to go from majority Caucasian to majority Black and improving affluence. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the other reasons why they try to rag on the county at times because hey, we're thriving over here.
Super thriving.
But what was I gonna say? Back to a Knew Laurel, and the thought is basically just bringing new energy, new passion. One of the things that I've realized that just looking at the city council, they need new energy. Like a lot of them have been there several years, or they're trying to return after several years and retiring. The thought is pass the torch, and I asked somebody, basically after almost 2 decades in service. What are you going to do in your next term that you didn't do in those first 2 decades? And that's a profound question because I'm waiting still to hear the answer to that question. I'm waiting still to hear the answer to the question. But outside of that, it's all about being responsive. So I believe local government is like your conscience. I believe local government should be accessible. I believe they should be responsive. And I should believe they should be a real proponent of the people, not just a small constituency. And sometimes they get there and forget who they're representing. Mm. So when people ask me whose seat I'm running for, I said I'm running for nobody's seat. I'm running for the people's seat. Because at the end of the day, you vacate that seat every time you run for that office. With giving anybody else a chance to run. So whose seat am I running for? The people's seat. Because the people have the right to take you from that seat, and the same way they voted you in. As far as Laurel, things I'm looking to do and things that, of course, we've done. So I've been the president of Young Dem before that I was vice president. We've done different community engagement events and also connected on legislation, which is important. So in the city of Laurel, we continue that same spirit during the campaign, where we're doing food drives, vaccination clinics, meet and greets at different businesses, at people's homes. And then just really bringing that community aspect, getting different local businesses to sponsor the events that we do. And you know what I mean? Because one, they're promoting their business, but they also, they also like the candidate and they like the energy. So they're like, okay, well, this is something that I can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's really the aspect that I'm trying to bring is like, we are one Laurel and, we will continue to grow. So like the thought is we need innovative leaders, for that growth to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that I'm a key component, in that leadership that is needed. So I'm looking forward to, of course, the 13 days till early voting, which is crucial. We got absentee ballots, so that's always important because at the end of the day, we still have COVID. Some people might not want to come out, and I believe absentee ballots are important anyway because the thought is it increases voter participation.
Mm-hmm.
If it makes it even easier for people to vote, then they would participate. The thought is like it should not only be a county holiday, it should be a state holiday, it should be a national holiday.
Yes.
Like, every worker should be able to get off, on these voting days.
Mm-hmm.
And you really shouldn't have to question it because sometimes you might work during the polling times, or you might just be asleep, or you might feel it's a hassle and you got, you know what I mean? Like the life of an everyday person, sometimes people forget.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, of course, I'm going to continue to push absentee voting and making sure that it happens even after coronavirus.
Yes.
Because there's been several cities that have went up even in the local state because of absentee during COVID. Where the participation has increased.
And when we think about people just being able to purchase their groceries from an app, like give us the ease to be able to vote from the comfort of our home, wherever we may be, as long as we are still a registered and active participant in the whole process.
Yes. And I mean, how to get in touch with us? Of course, martinforlaurel.com. You can check us out. We got a bunch of videos. You can donate. We need your pennies. We need your pennies. We are small dollar donors, and we don't go to corporations. We don't go to big businesses. We get from individuals, from people who believe in this grassroots people power campaign. But outside of that, connect with us on social media. Martin for Laurel. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we're looking forward to changing the stigma of cannabis. We're looking forward to moving forward together in the city of Laurel, and we're just looking for peace and harmony. So if you want to connect, feel free.